Hello, everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Hey, everyone. This is Lisa and Nancy of Big Blend Radio, and surprise, surprise, we're at a winery.
Gee, that's a surprise.
We are in Albuquerque-New-Mexico, and we are at Casa Rondeña, a beautiful, beautiful estate out here. You can hear a fountain in the background. It's beautiful, and we're sitting with the owner, John Calvin. So welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us.
Thank you, Lisa and Nancy. Yay for you guys, running all around the intrepid wine drinkers.
Well,
the seekers of spiritual enlightenment here through wine.
It's all about the Portofino, so we can do it. It's like nonstop, and nobody knows where we've been except for we document it on a map.
Yeah.
So park rangers don't look.
Well, by the time they see it, we're gone.
And no policemen or women should look either about where we've been, because nobody knows. But this is really, really beautiful. Let's start with the winery name.
Okay, you'd like to know what Rondeña means?
Yes.
Okay, well, in Andalusia, where I lived as a young man in southern Spain, there's a little town that was founded in 60 BC by the Romans. So it's about 80 miles south and east of Sevilla. And it's called Ronda. And it's called Ronda because it was the first place in Europe where a bull ring was created by the Romans around the time of Christ. And the Latin word for round is Ronda, named after the bull ring. It's very famous, beautiful little town. Maybe the most beautiful bridge on the planet is there. But there in Ronda, there is a cante flamenco, a flamenco style of singing, and a flamenco style of playing the guitar. And the cante and the toque, the guitar music, is called rondeñas. It simply means of Ronda or from Ronda. So if you look at the buildings here that I designed and built out of adobe and stone and ancient timbers, they're all, like I say, adobe, but they are reminiscent of the sensibilities that I took away from living in Andalusia with a lot of Roman and a lot of Islamic influence. We're a marriage of the two. So Casa Rondeña means simply house of Ronda, or of Ronda sensibilities. So that's where it comes from.
And then that's amazing, thinking about Spain and then also the flamenco and Albuquerque's. Isn't it one of the top places in this country for flamenco music?
Well, actually, yeah, it is. There's a bigger flamenco community here in Albuquerque than anywhere else in the country.
Wow.
And has been for the last probably 30 years, so yeah.
So that goes with your wine, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I was a flamenco player, and that's why my nails still look like they do, and I still play, but that was 40 years ago, and I lived in Spain as a musician. And so, I mean, we do have a couple of our blends here are very much Iberian in their sensibilities.
You said blend.
Yes, you
do.
did.
You know it's our favorite word.
Okay, cool. I can believe that.
I know.
Yeah, makes sense.
Wine, where did that come from for you to say, okay, I'm going to open a winery?
That's a great question, because so many people said, you can't do that in New Mexico.
Oh, then you do. Then that's what they said about us opening a magazine, and we said, now you said no?
Yeah.
First thing we're going to do.
Well, so I was born about a mile away from the winery, and I grew up with the Hispanic community here. I was kind of the only gringo where I lived in this neck of the woods. And in those days, 68 years ago, it was all agrarian. It was farms here and ranches. And so growing up along the Rio Grande here with agriculture as, my everyday life. Living in Spain, I learned back in the early 70s that the conquistadores, they called themselves the conquerors, the Catholics, which run around the world and destroy things, and they did that here very effectively. But they came here in 1540, in May of 1540, and the Crown of Spain forbade the planting of new vineyards, or planting of vineyards at all, in New Spain, which was an effort to still promote Iberian wines, but also they couldn't tax the alcohol from such a distance, so you couldn't grow grapes in New Spain at that time. So about 60 years after that, about 70 years after 1540, they got the Franciscan monks that had a series of missions up in the Rio Grande Valley here, kind of like they did in California. They got really tired of waiting for their sacramental wine to go clear across the Atlantic and across the Caribbean, up over to Mexico City, and all the way up 1,500 miles from Mexico City to Santa Fe, which they called the Jornada del Muerto, the journey of death, because there was so little water, and they had a lot of unhappy indigenous people because of the way the Spaniards treated them. But there was a monk, a young fellow in his 20s, named Fray Marcos Garciada de Zuniga, who smuggled a cousin of Tempranillo into what is now New Mexico.
Cool.
In the year of our Lord, 1629. So that predates California wines by 160 years.
Wow.
1797 was California, first vinifera plantings. 1843 in Napa. So we're much, much older than any other place in the United States, in North America, as far as wine production goes. So when I was living in Spain, I said, I was born right there, and I love these Iberian wines, and I drank more wine than I did in water, and those in my 20s. And I said, someday. So 30 years ago, when I was in my late 30s, I decided that I better get busy. So that's what happened.
Wow. And Tempranillo, Nancy's your favorite there.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, she's known to smuggle Tempranillo around.
To me?
You smuggled Tempranillo too.
Yeah, she's a Tempranillo smuggler.
How does that happen?
I don't know, but it's like the last one was Los Pinos. It was ranch vineyards in East Texas, and they had made one, and it was wonderful. And she managed to get one of the very last bottles.
Oh, good.
She's a smuggler.
Well, we use quite a, we have a Bordeaux blend here, Cab Franc, Cab Sauvignon, and Merlot, but the flagship wine here is a blend that we call 1629, named after the first year of the vinifera plantings in North America, which is Tempranillo and Syrah and Cabernet.
Ooh,
nice.
So
we have to try that.
Really, really fascinating thing, and it's our biggest seller, and we're pretty proud of it.
So the grapes that you grow here in the vineyards, these are the Riesling ones, right?
This little vineyard right here is Riesling, and we're planting a new vineyard next door, which will be Tempranillo.
Oh.
And yep.
We'll just drop you off there, Nancy.
Yeah, I'll smuggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. So, and so the rest of the grapes for like the Syrah, that is from southern New Mexico?
We have a couple vineyards scattered through southern New Mexico, and then we also have a little place up near Grand Junction, Colorado.
Oh, we just came from there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, that area is beautiful. Good wines.
Yeah.
Good wines.
There's some great wines up there, and some great winemakers. And that industry, of course, is not as old as ours, but they've done a terrific job. It's in North America, people wouldn't imagine it, but some of the greatest grape growing area in the country outside of California is right around Grand Junction.
It really, when we were in Palisade, and we went to Grand Junction too, but some of the wines, and they were doing, I'm never going to get it right, but it's a white wine that they typically use in blends, Semillon.
Semillon.
And they're serving it straight up. I don't know the correct term on that, but it was so good and so delicate, and yet so strong, and it was one of the best white wines I'd had in a while, and it was pretty amazing. No, he's got music. Hey, it's flamenco. Yeah.
How about that?
But yeah, so you start the winery. I mean, it wasn't. Did you start it all big at once, or did you start with a small tasting room? The vineyards here first?
I lived here as a bachelor for 10 years at the winery here, and I still the tasting room upstairs. Well, tasting was my kitchen.
Okay, see here it is.
And then I lived upstairs, and so then I built this building, which was my house, and lived there for 10 years. And no, it's been a little, piece by piece, and now we're going to double the size of the place next door, which we're planting right now.
Wow. And then, this whole COVID thing has been a pain for everybody. Were you able to still sell wine, like curbside delivery kind of thing?
Yeah, we actually did. We were shut down for a couple of months, but we have our license allows us to do deliveries. So we had we have a big, a pretty stout wine club, and we were able to, we were just doing home deliveries for a couple months, and it worked out really well.
That's what, Nancy, your favorite business idea.
Yeah, dial a bottle.
Yeah. Well, it worked for us, and, we had a lot of happy people. So.
And then you've got the wine tasting room. So all these buildings, are they for events or?
No, that's the winery.
Okay, that's the actual winery.
That's the barrel room building.
Oh,
so,
look at that! Oh, that really is Andalusian style. Look at that.
The guys will take you through that, or somebody will.
Okay.
And this, like I say, that was my home for 10 years, but I left it 12, 13 years ago because it was just too crowded here, and I moved away, and now that is the 1629 Club. So that's a restaurant there. We have a commercial restaurant operation there.
Okay, wonderful. And then you do weddings and special events?
We do all that kind of stuff like a lot of wineries do. We do it, routinely.
So New Mexico being a good area to grow, is it the aridness of the land and then you still have wetlands and rivers? I mean, it's kind of interesting to me because wherever it's geologically fascinating, wine seems to be there, prevalent.
Well, we have 350 days of sunshine a year. We have, because of our high altitude, we have relatively cool nights and relatively warm summers. Most people don't think of New Mexico as a mountainous state, but over half of our area is above 6,000 feet in altitude. The grapes, where we grow grapes, most of the grapes are in the southern part of the state, where the season is rather short because of the high temperatures, a great soil and plenty of water. And more importantly, there aren't so many dramatic fluctuations in temperature in the southern part of the state. The further north you go and the higher the altitude, we experience these really dramatic fluctuations in temperature. So oftentimes, we'll get a freeze after we've broken bud, and we break bud in late April. We still get a freeze in the first week of May, and you lose your whole crop that way. So it's a little more dangerous the further north you grow to grow grapes. But we have to face it. New Mexico does has some little pockets of area where we do really well with a few varietals, especially after the vines are 25 or 30 years old. But the vast majority of the state is not suited for growing. So we'll never have a huge wine industry, but it certainly is growing. We were a license number 11 in 1994, and now I think there are about close to 100 licenses in New Mexico, something like that. I don't think there are that many wineries, but I think there are about 50 wineries now, something.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
We had a really good Sangiovese when we were in Taos.
Oh, did you?
And I think it was Vivac.
Yeah.
I was really, because I always think Pinot Noir and Sangiovese they're either really good or run. and that was a really good one. I was like,
well, the Pinot doesn't grow very well here in New Mexico, and very many places. They're There are a couple little pockets where I've had some really great Pinots, but we don't grow it.
Yeah, Central California.
Yeah.
We've had Caldera.
Oh, yeah.
That Calera. Calera.
Well, all over Central California,
In
great
Oregon.
Pinot, but not here.
Yeah, but you do Syrah, which is amazing too.
Yeah, well, Syrah is a hot, dry climate wine.
It's a
whereas
good wine.
Pinot is really, cooler, more wet climate kind of thing.
So it's spring. What would you say for you to, at the end of the day, or whatever time of day, what are you going to choose? Who cares what time of day? What bottle of wine are you going to choose, and what are you going to eat sitting out here and enjoying?
I'm going to, this afternoon, I would probably drink some Viognier. And by supper time, I would probably drink either the Syrah or the 1629, probably. But we do great with a Bordeaux blend here. It's very classic. It's French in style, and we, like I say, we do bottle a Syrah by itself, and we bottle Cabernet Franc by itself, which grows really well here in New Mexico. That's how we got started. I really just made Cab Franc and Riesling for about the first 10 years. And so we do really well with those.
Awesome.
Cabernet Sauvignon grows well down in the southern part of the state.
That's neat to know.
Yeah.
We haven't had we've only had the Sangiovese, right? And I think it was Gruet, I can't remember. Gruen.
Gruet?
Yeah, I think that was something we had when we were in Silver City about 7 years ago.
They're primarily a sparkling wine producer.
Yeah, that we had it at a friend's place. Yeah, at Victoria's.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
They do a really good
I
job.
remember having that. That was the introduction to New Mexico wine, and then the Sangiovese. So now we're here. We'll get to taste wine, and
There you go.
there it is. So we'll get to put 3 on our list. We'll get through all 100 eventually.
Yeah.
Everyone, the
that.
website is Casa Rondeña.
That's right.
Yeah, I got it right.
Rondeña.
Rondeña.com. So check it out. Thank you.
All right.
Cool.
You're welcome.